if you're struggling to improve, you're probably not doing this one thing, and if you start doing this thing, you're going to be improving so much faster. The thing I'm talking about is exaggerating whatever you want to do in your practice sessions. So if you're working on a specific thing, you don't want to try to just change it a little bit or change the feel of it a little bit. You want to really exaggerate it when you're practicing. And I'm going to show you why you want to use exaggeration when you're trying to change something in your game. So this is actually a really good example, I feel like. You want to learn to play the gutter. You want to learn to get your breakpoint to 1, 2, 3. So what you're going to do, you're going to go throw it in the gutter. Then you know exactly what it feels like, what you got to do to go over the limit, physically throwing it into the gutter off the lane, and then you go a little bit backwards until you keep it on the lane. So I want to, let's say I'm balling on short pattern, this is where I want to play. I want to get my breakpoint out to like second board between 1 and 3. So to learn where that is, I got to go a little bit too far so I can actually learn how to get there. All right. See, that was a little too much. A lot of people don't dare throwing it in the gutter, so they end up never getting their breakpoint to 1, 2, 3. They'll get it to 5, 6. If they miss right, they'll get it to 3, and all of a sudden they're struggling. They don't have any hole. They don't have any room. When they miss right, their ball reaction might actually be pretty decent because you're getting it to the right spot, but they've got no way of doing it because they feel like they're so close to the gutter that they get scared. If you know where the gutter is, because you've thrown the ball in there, it's a lot easier to deal with that. So I'm just gonna move my target slightly. But you see, now I know where the gutter is, so that shot doesn't feel anywhere near to where the gutter is, and I can throw it further right than from there and still feel like I'm not close to throwing it in the gutter. Obviously this isn't a short pattern and the topography isn't great on the gutter here, but I don't feel like that shot was close to going in the gutter at all, because it felt so much different than the one that actually went in the gutter. It looked so much different than the one that actually went in the gutter that I'm not scared to throw it there, because I know it's not going to go in the gutter unless I throw it way outside of that. It's kind of like if you're working on throwing it slower, I know a lot of people struggle with throwing it too fast. So if you're working on throwing it slower, your goal might only be to like lower your speed a little bit, but like you have to exaggerate it to get a feel for it and to learn what it actually feels when your speed gets slower. Because I see a lot of people that are like, oh, that felt slower, but in reality they didn't throw it any significantly slower. They might just throw it like 0.2 of a mile slower, which isn't going to make any difference for them. So you really want to exaggerate it. Now, like you've seen my normal speed, so like what I would do if I was trying to work on throwing it slower, learn how to throw it slower, I would start with just throwing it super slow. Brooklyn action. Just like that, like super slow. I know that's way too slow compared to what I want if I just want to lower my ball speed a little bit, but I know then I learn what I have to do to throw it that slow. I learn how it feels to throw it that slow, and now I can take what I learned there and do it less extreme, rather than trying to take what I'm currently doing and try to do it a little bit slower, which is going to be super, super awkward. And a lot of times it's just going to lead to bad habits and like forcing your shot rather than just going with, all right, this is how I do it if I'm trying to do it really extreme just for fun. So I'm going to take that and just do it not quite as extreme. And then hopefully we end up with something where this shot should probably like 4-pin or like go a little high. Yeah, that was a little bit slower. Hooked high, hooked through the nose. That's how I would do it. On that shot, I tried to just take how I would do it if I was throwing it super, super slow and just do it a little bit less. Kind of fit it in between my normal and the real extreme one, and makes it a lot easier to actually get the change you want to get without having to go tiny step, tiny step, tiny step, tiny step in the right direction to eventually get to where you want to be. You just take one giant step out over the edge and then you go backwards. So if that's the way you're trying to work on your game, like trying to micro adjust because you don't want to you just want to improve it a little bit, and that's kind of what we do. We're not looking to overhaul our entire game most of the time. We're looking to make those small adjustments, small improvements, all of these things that are very, very minute changes when you look at it like from outside, but feel like really big changes. The thing is, if you're trying to change them by just feeling a little bit different, you're probably not really changing anything, or you're changing it so small differences at a time that it's going to take you forever to actually get to the point where you want to be. You need to exaggerate your feel to actually change what you're doing in reality, just because it always feels much more than what it actually is. And the second part is you need to exaggerate so you know how it feels when it's different. So if you think about it this way, like on your normal shot, you're probably within a variance of, let's just say this is your variance you're working within, whatever it might be. So right in the middle here, it's perfect shot, everything feels normal. If you're a little bit off, you feel it. You feel, all right, I was a little off there, a little off here, and then the more you're off from the center here, the more you feel it. If you're just trying to change a little bit, like just a pinch and a pinch and a pinch, then you don't really know what it feels when it's different. And you're working, you're still working within your zone of tolerance, so to speak. It's still fairly comfortable for you. You're just moving your limit or your boundaries a little bit. Now, let's just take an example. You might be trying to get less axis rotation. Now, if you try to go down like 5 degrees, that's basically nothing. So you don't really know what it feels. You're just feeling it's slightly different than your normal release, but you might not even be able to tell it on the ball. But if you take one where you try to go from, let's say you're at 60 degrees axis rotation and you try to go to 20 right away, now you can really tell a difference, and now you're able to tell, okay, that's what it feels like when I'm doing it too much. That's what it feels like when I'm too much off the back of it. Now you have a feel of, when do I exceed the limit? When do I go over the edge? And now you can go backward from that, and you know, this is how it feels normally now. This is how it feels when it's too extreme. And now you know you can work within that. Instead of like trying to improve by working in this little box, now you know you can actually go all the way to out here before it starts to becoming too extreme. So you can work on a much larger spectrum, and you know your feel has to be that much different to actually make a difference. So when you're practicing something, when you're working on something, always start by getting a feel of what's too much. Like, don't try to be perfect. Don't try to, if your goal is to change something by 10%, don't try to be perfect and practice changing it 10%. Practice changing it 30%. And you're probably going to be way quicker and way more effective at changing it 10% in real life than you are if you're trying to change it 10% when you're practicing. So that's why you need to exaggerate. You need to know when you're stepping out over the limit, so you can avoid the limit. And a lot of times the limit is way further out here than we think it is. So go exaggerate, go learn where the limit is, and then learn how to get closer to it without going over it. That's how you improve. That's how you really go out over your comfort zone and get a lot better, a lot quicker.